For the first time ever, government data has shown a significant pay gap between the senior male and female public servants in South Australia. Official figures have revealed a pay gap of almost $30,000 a year across the state's top bureaucrats. The biggest pay gap was recorded in the police and emergency sectors. Huge pay gaps. And now, as we know, this story in South Australia is far from a rare one in the Australian landscape. To chat about this and much, much more, the founder of Small Business Women Australia, Amanda Rose. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Now, looking at that story, it's everywhere, isn't it, really?
It is, and I think there's a lot of rhetoric out there that it's changing, but really it's not. So I think more of this needs to happen where we're actually showing what people are getting paid, because people assume if, the discussion in the workplace, oh no, they're getting paid equally, oh, they just take it for granted, this okay, but they're actually not. There are a lot of women out there that are not being paid what they're worth and the same as their male counterparts in the same job. And if we're pushing for females to be financially independent and to look after themselves, be able to get into the workplace, you can't incentivise them by saying, by the way, we're going to pay you $30,000 less a year. Yeah,
it's remarkable, isn't it? Now, does this spill over into small business where women are owning small businesses?
It does in a different way. So in small business, what happens, so a lot of women pay well for their staff in small business and they have a low profit margin, still do that. But it's more the opportunities when it comes to small business. So women, for example, if they're looking for any investments, 4% of investments go to female-owned small business, just 4%. So they need a male co-founder or a co-owner to be able to be taken seriously, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we actually need to be treating women, small business women, women in general with respect and pay them their worth, but also give them the opportunities financially that they deserve.
Okay, now moving our focus to a place that's dear to both of our hearts. We're both Westies, from Western Sydney, and we're very proud of it. There's a real focus from both the government in New South Wales and the opposition, because we're just months away from the election, on Western Sydney, because this is a battleground.
It is, and it's fun. You can always tell when there's an election coming because Western Sydney's the flavour of the month for both sides. And this is where we need to be very careful and we need to investigate every single promise made by both sides. And we need to look at the track record of what they've delivered while they're in government and also what has happened before. So they blame each other for breaking promises when, they both do it. So we need to go back and say, what did they do? Did I agree with it? Did they support small business? Did they support women? If so, then I will vote for them. If not, don't.
Because Western Sydney, and it's replicated in other big cities like Melbourne, the heartbeat of the country in so many ways.
It is essentially holding up the entire country, and I will say that, and regional. I say they're the two areas that really do hold up this country. And also they get taken for granted. So they get flattered a lot during election time, but then they get ignored when they're in government and people have to fight for it. We've looked at lockdowns and what happened to Western Sydney during that time. They were pretty much ignored and treated, like second-class citizens. So we need to make sure that we demand the respect. So how we do that is when we vote. It could be, we've currently Western Sydney women doing a survey, a bit of research on who they're voting for and what's important to women. And they want to see more females in government, but they also, cost of living is still number one priority and it's going up. So they can't be promising they're going to spend lots of money in the region. They actually need to be finding ways that women will be paid the same, but also how can they cut costs?
Yeah, we want to look with positivity to 2023, but cost of living is going to get more difficult, isn't it? Particularly in and around those younger people that might have taken those honeymoon rates on the interest rates and they're dropping off into this enormous amount of extra cost.
That's right, and we haven't seen this since our great-grandparents type thing, or our grandparents, and we need to learn to change how we live, but also women in particular need to stand up a little bit more, work together and community-based, which they're brilliant at doing, but in general, the cost of living is going up. So when it comes to election time, the questions you need to ask your local MP and the people that are running, what are you going to do to cut my costs, cut the electricity costs, living costs, what are you going to do to help us function and survive this year?
Finally, you flicked me an article, Quiet Hiring.
Yes.
Tell me about quiet hiring. So, I read it, but you tell us.
It's a great way of large companies to be sneaky by dumping on their current staff with more work. So it's quiet hiring like, hey, you're really good at what you do, so how about I give you 3 more jobs and it's a great opportunity for you, and so you're overloaded. And it's because of the staff shortages and so forth. Instead of actually seeing it as a career pathway internally saying, if you do more, we'll pay you more. So it's just a sneaky way. You remember redundancies got called downsizing? So this is a nice way of saying we're going to give you more work to do, but we're not going to pay you anymore.
Yeah, at least with the redundancies, they came with money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if anyone does offer you more work, ask for more money.
Absolutely. Amanda, we will chat soon.
Thank you.
Amanda Rose.